Hi, I'm Matt Collins. I'd like to welcome you to Bob Weber Auto Mart on Douglas Avenue here in Racine, across from Douglas Park. We specialize in 1-year-old, low mileage, almost new cars. And if you'd like to stop by and see them, or see them on our website, bobweberautomart.com, we could save you between $5,000 and $10,000 on your next almost new car purchase.
I'm Michael Burke, and this is Money Talks. Hi, I hope you saw part one, but we are now on part two with John Matheson, Chief Operating Officer of Siegel-Gallagher, the Marina's manager for this year and 4 years after at minimum. We're at Reefpoint Marina talking about some of the improvements that your company has already demonstrated here. So that's what we want to really focus on in part two. John, I know there was quite a staffing overhaul that you guys undertook. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Why and what types of people you brought in?
Well, that is a real good point to bring up, Nick. The staffing was critical for us to be successful, and it's how we do things at all of our properties, and this included. You have to have the right people that really understand the core values of what we're all about. And here, it's really delivering the boater experience. Boaters come up here for a reason. You have to look at it from that point of view, and everybody has to understand that, from the marina general manager to a seasonal dockhand. It's all about creating the right boater experience, and if you don't understand that, it's not going to work. So we made a change, essentially changing out the entire staff within that first year. Not that those people weren't good, it's just that you had to have a certain value system and belief system that we felt would be better suited for the marina.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, the boater experience, for those who didn't see part one, you certainly understand it because you are a boater, the owner of a sailboat. So who were the key people you brought in?
Well, it started with the marina general manager, and that's Carrie Newbecker. Carrie actually was a good sample of that. She doesn't have a tremendous amount of boating experience. She has been around boats quite a bit, but has never run a marina. But she understood hospitality, she understood delivering service and how that works. She can learn the rest of it, and she did very quickly.
She was in the hotel industry, right?
She was.
Yeah.
Correct. So she was the right person that could deliver that experience for boaters, and then we brought in Alex Presti, who is an absolute genius and got tremendous experience in the dock or the marina business and understanding the physical aspects of running marinas and dockage. So between Carrie and Alex,
he's your chief dockhand or something
right,
like
he's
that?
our dock master.
Dock master.
So he reports to Carrie, but together as a team, they run the marina,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a great team to have. They're doing a great job.
And so what has this new team, just talk about some of the improvements, both the physical types of things and any service-oriented improvements that you guys think you've brought in so far?
Well, as I mentioned, when you start looking at everything from a boater perspective, then you see how the changes need to be made. And they started making changes right away. Services the boaters wanted to see. The convenience store that we have here was not really well stocked, and the hours weren't as convenient as they could be for boaters. So we took control of that in-house and operate that, fully stocked it, renovated it, and have a good staff that's very friendly with boaters and get to know them by name. So that's one big improvement.
And by the way, in that, just to stay with that for a second, I remember Carrie telling me they brought in things like there's a coffee station, a fresh coffee station. Now that would be just a big thing in itself, I would think, and fresh Kringles. And
it's a lot of the little things that matter to boaters because when they're up here for a short weekend, they want to enjoy themselves, and so you almost look at it like a high-end hotel. What would a hotel do in a situation, a resort hotel? So that's the way that their thinking was in coming up with these ideas. Maintaining the docks, responding to boaters' questions in a certain time frame, follow through. If someone leaves their gas cap at the gas dock, instead of just saying, "Hey, come get it," we run to them and ask if they want, they need anything else. It's those little things that we're trying to do that leave an impression.
I know she said that her goal is to always respond to a boater request within 30 minutes, even if it's to say we need to get you apart, but to respond within 30 minutes. That seems
right. And sometimes that's all they want, is to know that they've been heard and someone's on it and they're going to resolve the situation. So the boaters are really pleased with what they've seen.
Now, I know trash and bathroom cleanliness had become issues from what I've heard over the last several years, but that state of affairs is better now, right?
It is, and it's tough. You know, the marina is located at the mouth of a river, and that, as any river does, is going to deposit branches and soda cans and whatever else could be floating down the river, and some of that can end up in a marina. So even though it's a mundane thing, but it's absolutely critical that every day the staff is looking for anything they can do to pick it up. They're down in the rocks picking up things out of the right up close to the water, because it's a big area, but that's important, and it has to be done every day.
What about dock maintenance? Because from what I understand, that had fallen off somewhat in the last years of the 25 years of original ownership. I know you guys have taken that pretty much head on, haven't you?
That's right, and that's one of the advantages that the county has owning the marina. They're in control of that. We're the management company hired by them, but they are in full control of that, and we advise them on what to do there. But yes, the docks had not been well maintained when we took over control last year. And so we've been working very hard over the last year to add new floats and make repairs to the infrastructure of the marina.
Carrie and I walked out on one dock that had been, I don't remember the term, but it had been sort of like deep cleaned, and it looked pretty spectacular, actually.
That's another thing we've been doing now. We have all the docks completely pressure washed before the first boat comes in, because they need it. The docks get old looking, and there's just the dirt and grime from the winter that needs to be cleaned off.
Speaking of the county being the owner of this entire facility, the lake bed and everything above it now, there are those who might say there are those who do grumble about the fact that when it was in private hands, the county received some property taxes on it. Now it's a county-owned property, it's government-owned property, no property taxes. What do you say to those who say we're getting a raw deal?
Well, I think the first purpose of having this marina here is really to bring boaters here as an economic benefit to the community. You need a full marina, or close to it, as many boaters as you can, because that's really the benefit you bring to this community, and it's much more than $100,000 in property taxes. A good number of these boaters are from the Chicago community, as we talked about before, Mick. Some are even from Texas and Minnesota and New York and other areas outside of this area. They come here and they come with their money and they spend it locally. That's really what the biggest benefit is of this marina, and as we grow it, that benefit increases.
And let's face it, that's why this was built.
That's why it was built, and why a lot of other communities up and down the coast have added thousands of slips over the last 20 years.
Yeah, and speaking of the outside money that gets spent locally, just talk a little bit about how you try to get the boaters connected with downtown and vice versa.
We take a very active approach in that area. It's one of the number one attributes that these boaters have is actually the downtown. We're seen as a great downtown, and it's a great selling point. But instead of just giving them a couple flyers, we work closely with the downtown businesses in meetings and ask them how we can maybe interact with boaters on a more personal level and in a more active way to get them to understand what is available to them. So we have events here such as a meet and greet program where boaters can come into our lounge here, and the restaurants will be here sampling their food and talking about their restaurant and other businesses as well. Photography studios, children's, the glass blowing shop, and
local hat shop.
The local hat shop, copacetic. So any of the downtown businesses, we try to give them an opportunity to come here to the marina and interact with boaters. Looking down the road, this has been a challenging year just because of the weather.
Are you happy that Siegel-Gallagher, your company, is doing this? And by the way, this was the first. You've since taken on Sheboygan, and you're looking at other marinas, which I think is fascinating that we were the first. But where do you see your company going in the future, either with this one or other marinas?
Well, I love it. It's something that's my passion, is the boating and being around marinas. So it's a perfect mix of working with something I do for a living that I enjoy and my passion outside of work. So it's fun for me to be able to work on marinas, and I found that we're very good at it. It's very similar to what we've been doing in the past. So we found what our niche is, and that is municipally run marinas. We took over management of the Harbor Center Marina in Sheboygan January 1st of this year on a 5-year contract, and we're negotiating with 4 other marinas as well, a couple of them in Illinois and 2 of them in Florida. So we hope to grow that business as it makes sense for those marinas that we feel we're a good fit to do.
All right. Well, we look forward to what's your target? You've taken this from 390 boaters last year to about 476 at this moment. What are you shooting for next year to hit in 2015?
It's hard to say, and it's hard to predict. It's somewhat weather dependent, and the fact that we were able to grow it despite this terrible winter and miserable spring.
Yeah.
But we like to get at least 50 to 75 boaters per year. We think that's a reasonable goal to go after.
Wow.
It's unlikely we'll get to 900 boaters, but we don't need to be there. The marina was already making money at 400 boaters. So, everything we add onto it, we'll be able to put back in the marina and keep it viable for a long time.
That sounds great. John Matheson, Chief Operating Officer for Siegel-Gallagher, the managing company for this marina. Thanks a lot for being on Money Talks. Thanks to Greg Shaver, our producer, and thanks to you for watching.
Thank you.
I'm Michael Burke, and this is Money Talks.
Hi, I'm Matt Collins. I'd like to welcome you to Bob Weber Auto Mart on Douglas Avenue here in Racine, across from Douglas Park. We specialize in 1-year-old, low mileage, almost new cars. And if you'd like to stop by and see them, or see them on our website, bobweberautomart.com, we could save you between $5,000 and $10,000 on your next almost new car purchase.